Details on the next iteration of the Xbox line of consoles just dropped, and I think the internet broke. Absolutely insane news coming out of the Xbox camp today. So apparently, while they were submitting paperwork to help win their court case to acquire Activision recently, somehow some paperwork got into the wrong hands and was leaked online. And now we see the entire slate of upcoming Xbox consoles and their plans for the next few years. And it's looking kind of insane. So I'm going to toss some images up on the screen real quick. First of all, this is what the Xbox looks like, the new Xbox Series X. It is circular now instead of a square. And the most important thing that you'll notice about this is the fact that it doesn't have a disk drive, which is explained in this next image here. As you can see, this outlines their entire series of consoles. It looks like they have a Series S and Series X refresh in the works, and those are the first two consoles here, codenamed Elwood and Brooklyn. Now, these aren't necessarily a new console or even really a pro console. They're just a refresh of the current consoles with up-to-date tech inside of them, quality of life stuff that we'll get to in a little bit. But the most important thing to notice here is in content delivery, it says all digital. All of their consoles are going digital only as soon as this refresh happens, which is just kind of insane. Like, sure, they're adding USB-C, they're adding some nice quality of life stuff to this, better Wi-Fi, etc. But the fact that they're going all digital completely is kind of nuts. You also see codename Uther here, which looks like it's going to be like the Pro console version of the console, not necessarily the new Xbox, but the next iteration, the equivalent of a PS4 Pro to a PS4. But if we look at this next picture here, we get kind of a clearer vision of what they're trying to do. And it says specifically they're developing a next-generation hybrid game platform capable of leveraging the combined power of the client and cloud to deliver deeper immersion and entirely new classes of game experiences. Optimized for real-time gameplay and creators, we will enable new levels of performance beyond the capabilities of the client hardware alone. Now, I translate this as they're trying to get the core computing done by the actual console that sits on your shelf, but then they're able to add a lot of flash and sizzle by using the cloud. But it's very strange thinking that they're going to have cloud computing and normal computing combined and try to deliver that consistently to a world that doesn't have the best internet in some areas. Internet is not consistent for everybody across the globe, so it's going to be really weird seeing how they pull that off. I think that the base console itself needs to be able to run a stripped down version of the game without the cloud, but then the cloud would add all of the bells and whistles, so the game could function regardless, almost like how sometimes the Switch can make certain games run on it, except they're very, very downgraded. And then all of the upgraded visuals and flair would come from the cloud. That would be my best guess. It's a very strange approach, but if they're going all digital, which is kind of insane, I guess this is something they could try. Seems like a very strange direction to go in. We also got a look at a new controller that's being launched alongside these refreshes. This is Sebel, the new Xbox controller. It looks pretty much the same. The most important thing to take out of this is the fact that they seem to be copying the PlayStation 5 with precision haptic feedback, VCA haptics that double as speakers, an accelerometer, and then also they're taking a note from the Elite controllers, and you're able to actually have modular thumbsticks here that can be interchanged, which It's a nice little touch. It almost makes the controller feel like a Elite Light controller, somewhere in between a normal Xbox controller and an Elite controller. Be very interesting to see if this ends up being the best controller out of all the controllers available once this thing hits the market. Obviously, we'll have to feel it in our hands to see what it's like. But I don't know. With all the chances that they're taking with the rest of the console, it's crazy time to be alive. And then as you can see here, this is the Xbox Series S refresh, the Elwood. And what's important to note here is that most of these refreshes for both the Series S and the Series X, they're mostly leveraging just quality of life upgrades. You have faster Wi-Fi, reduced power consumption, more internal storage, stuff like that. So these consoles aren't more powerful. They're not going to look better or compute better. They're just going to have quality of life improvements, which is why I'm pretty sure they're just a refresh and they're not the Pro consoles. But that other console that we saw listed seems like it should be the Pro console. This last image here simply shows that both the new Series S, the Elwood, and the new Series X console, the Brooklyn, those are code names, by the way. Those aren't the actual names of the consoles that will launch. They'll still be Series S and Series X. But they're going to cost the same amount. They're going to be at the same price point they always have been, with just these quality of life upgrades. So they are going to be strictly better. But it is important to note they're not going to perform better on a performance level. It's the same tech. They're the same consoles. It's just got some quality of life improvements. But what's important to note here with this calendar is when they're announcing and launching these things. So the controller is actually going to launch in late May of next year. And right after that, they're going to have this Xbox Gaming Beat event where they'll announce the Elwood and the Brooklyn, the new Series S and Series X, at the same time. But then they're going to stagger the release. So in 2025, around the end of August, the new Series S will release. And it says in the text here that's so that they can focus on trying to drive that console to a different market than what their Series X will be driven towards. And then the new Series X relaunch, the Brooklyn, will happen at the end of October, and they'll have a completely different marketing campaign centered around that Series X, aiming at a different user base. Last but not least, this final image here shows their timeline for next gen, and it does look like they're aiming for 2028 for their next gen, which makes sense because normally it's a 7-year console cycle, and that would be 2027. But because of chip shortages in 2020, we're kind of a year behind, which is why we haven't seen a lot of exclusives launch for any console. The Xbox, the PlayStation, whatever. They've all had issues. Games have taken longer because of work from home. Consoles have taken longer to sell because of chip shortages. So it makes sense that this console cycle would last an extra year. And that's what we're seeing here. But it's also important to note that, again, they're doubling down here on the cloud hybrid games, immersive game and app platform. So they think cloud is the future. They think a hybrid console is the next step. And it's kind of crazy the direction they're going, because I don't know about you guys, but I feel like gamers just want a dedicated console that they can put their game in and play the game. Whether it's digital or disc, doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They still want a console that they can just boot up and play and not need to worry about extraneous things like if their internet quality goes down or anything like that. So cloud as an extra seems nice, but doubling down on the idea of integrating cloud into your core consoles as a technology that's used on all of your games moving forward and trying to leverage that technology to make your games that much better. It's ambitious. It's a cool idea. I want to see where it goes, and I'm hopeful that it works out. But at the same time, I'm a bit pessimistic about it, because how likely is it that that works out? How difficult is it going to be for people to accept a cloud future? I don't know. Let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Will you care about any of this at all? Does it matter? I'm mostly a PlayStation 5 guy, mostly a Sony guy. I have been forever, but I do buy every console. I've had every Xbox. I've had every Nintendo console. I do enjoy them from time to time when there's games that I can't get on the PlayStation 5. So, I mean, I'm sort of agnostic when it comes to the console wars. I tilt towards PlayStation for sure, just because they've always given me the kind of games I want to play. But I love getting great gaming experiences on all of these consoles, and I'm really interested to see where this leads. And I'm really interested to hear what you guys think about all of this, because I think it's kind of insane, and I don't know if it's good insane, but it's definitely insane. So let me know in the comments below how you're feeling about it, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks so much for checking out my channel. I'd like to give a huge shout out to all of my patrons over at Patreon. Without you guys, this channel would not be possible, so honestly, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all of your contributions. If you haven't yet, like and subscribe. The more likes we get and the quicker we get them, the bigger this channel will grow and the faster it will grow. I'd love nothing more than this channel to become something very special for you guys, but it's entirely up to you how fast that happens. Also, if you'd like more deck text, that's somewhere over there. And if you'd like to see what else the channel's been up to lately, that's somewhere up that way. Also, subscribe, circle below, do all the things.